On Clintar, Knull, the god of the darkness, has been locked away by his own creation called symbiotes, whom he created with other creatures called xenophages. Symbiotes turned on Knull because of seeing his growing immense powers, but xenophages still remained loyal to him. Xenophages are those monster creatures that kill and eat symbiotes. That is to say, they are the arch-enemy of symbiotes. While narrating his story, Knull states that a long time ago, when light invaded his kingdom, his symbiote's children betrayed him and imprisoned him there. He needs Codex to free himself, as it is the key to his freedom. It can unlock the door of his prison. Therefore, Knull orders his xenophage creatures to go to search each nook and corner of the universe for the Codex and bring that to him. He tells us that when he liberates himself, he will be revenged on his symbiote offspring. Saying this, he creates wormholes through which his faithful xenomorph offspring move to different parts of the universe to bring Codex. Eddie Brock is in Mexico and sitting at the bar counter as he is on the run at this time. Venom makes a drink for him using his tentacles, whereas the bartender is watching all this. Eddie hears the news and finds that the San Francisco police are still looking for him on the charges of killing Detective Patrick Mulligan. This is why Eddie is hiding in Mexico. This news forces Eddie to reflect on where he should escape now. Just then, he sees a small, toy-sized replica of the Statue of Liberty resting on the table, prompting him to escape to New York. He tells Venom that he has got a judge in New York. He will blackmail him to strike off his name from the list of culprits. While returning from the bar, Venom places a coin on the counter, but in this, a piece of his symbiotic body falls on the counter. After coming out of the bar, Eddie hears some dogs whine, so he heads into a building where he finds many dogs encaged. He learns that those dogs were about to be sold off for fighting. Meanwhile, some local hooligans show up there. They threaten Eddie that he will not get out alive, but Eddie requests those smugglers to get away from there as quickly as possible. Otherwise, someone will come out of his body and tear their heads off and bog into them. But the ruffians take it for granted. The head of smugglers makes a cut on the cheek of Eddie, compelling Venom to come in Eddie's defense. Venom kicks the hooligan, flying against the wall. Now Venom completely takes over Eddie and begins to uncage the captured dogs. The dogs also start attacking the goons while Venom is also hurting them. He grabs all the smugglers, using his tentacles, and says to them, "We are Venom," and saying this, he devours each of their heads in no time. Hereafter, he leaves from there, bringing along the rescued dogs. A xenophage monster also arrives on Earth while looking for Codex, but it also goes away without hurting Eddie. At the bar, the bartender spots a creepy liquid on the counter, but before he could feel it, General Strickland arrives there and captures the parasite. He questions the bartender about Eddie. The bartender responds that Eddie was acting in an unusual way and he had several massive wild arms. Hearing this, Strickland orders his soldiers to knock the bartender out. Scene shifts to Area 51, a place where several alien species and their samples have been kept for doing research on them. The government has decided to decommission it, as this has become a controversial site for its alleged testing on aliens. Here, the General Strickland hands the symbiote which he caught from Mexico to Sadie, a doctor-scientist at Area 51. Sadie puts the symbiote of Venom among other symbiotes, meaning there are some other symbiotes here like Venom. General Strickland and Dr. Payne check up on a man possessed by a symbiote. This man is no other than Detective Patrick Mulligan, and he is still alive because of being host to a symbiote alien. Detective Patrick soon reaches Dr. Payne using his arms and tells her that the monsters have arrived on Earth. Actually, symbiotes and xenophages are mentally connected to each other, so they can feel each other's presence from miles away. Dr. Payne asks Mulligan if the symbiote within him talks to him. The symbiote within Mulligan's body tells Dr. Payne that they were on the run to save their lives from xenophages. If they found us, they will kill of us, including the whole human race. To reach New York in no time, Eddie takes over the plane as Venom. But right then, from thousands of kilometers away, a lurking xenophage creature detects the presence of Codex in Eddie's neck. The xenophage pounces upon the plane and charges at Venom. The xenophage is much bigger than Venom, however it is swallowed up by one of the engines of the plane, breaking it into pieces. Venom jumps off the plane saying, "I will tell you later why I'm doing so." Martin and his family are heading towards Area 51 to see aliens in real life. Just then, the chopped-off pieces of xenophage alien begin to fall from the sky on their minibus, but they brush it off, considering it to be gravel falling from the sky, but we see that the alien is revived and howls. Venom turns into a parachute and lands on a wasteland with Eddie. Venom tells Eddie that the alien we just encountered was a xenophage, a symbiote hunter, and they were created by the maker who created us. All the symbiotes turned on their creator and locked him up on Clintar, a prison symbiotes built to imprison Knull, the creator of symbiotes. Eddie asks Venom why xenophage is after them. Then Venom responds, "They want something very important which we carry." Eddie says, "What do we have that xenophage needs?" Venom replies, "It's Codex. What is it?" Then Venom gets inside Eddie's brain and says, "If you die, I can revive you. But if I did it, our separate forces would become one single force, and this force will be called a Codex. It is a key that can unlock the door of the prison on Clintar." Venom reminds Eddie that he died one time, and it was he who brought him back to life, and that's why we possess a Codex within us. This is the reason why that xenophage attacked us on the plane. A xenophage can only see the Codex when a symbiote is in its full true form. Eddie finds a horse in the wasteland all alone. Venom turns it into a super horse and makes Eddie sit on it. The super horse runs at lightning speed to reach New York. At Area 51, General Strickland and Dr. Payne take a look at the other symbiotes captured in safety containers. General Rex tells her that all these symbiotes were on the meteorite that crashed on Earth, but the surprising thing is that all of them survived. They were not on the run, but ready to destroy our Earth. Eddie and Venom arrive at the bank of a river, as the horse was so thirsty. Meanwhile, a helicopter shows up over Eddie. Some soldiers fire at Eddie with their supersonic guns, causing Venom to leave Eddie's body at once and dive into the flowing water. General Rex orders his soldiers to kill Eddie and collect the symbiote. Soldiers divide themselves into two groups. Some of them go after Eddie, while the rest go after the symbiote. Venom's symbiote sometimes takes over a fish and sometimes takes over a frog during his evasion. On finding Eddie's life in danger, Venom again takes control over Eddie, without caring for Xenophage's arrival. As soon as Venom comes into its full form, the Xenophage alien feels his presence. Venom is given a shock by the soldiers under the water. Just then, the Xenophage alien arrives there and begins to detect Codex and find it underwater. It dives into the river. In a way, it saved Venom from getting killed. Venom gets into normal form, causing the Xenophage not to see him. The Xenophage alien devours two of the soldiers alive. Rex also gets furious after losing his 3 soldiers in this encounter and lets Dr. Payne and Sadie know about it. In Area 51, Dr. Payne and Sadie come to the symbiote, who is inside Patrick Mulligan, and ask him to come out. Dr. Payne tells him that the monster he was talking about has arrived on Earth and it has killed some people too. The symbiote takes control over Patrick's body and begins to float around in the chamber. The symbiote approaches Dr. Payne and tells her that he can sense some of him there. At the same time, all the symbiotes begin to make movements, grabbing Doctor's attention. The alien symbiote within Mulligan tells Dr. Payne that the thing Knull is looking for is not here. The black one possesses the Codex. General Rex also arrives there. The green symbiote tells them that Venom has the key to Knull's liberty. Knull has sent his loyal monsters to bring the Codex, and if he succeeds in obtaining the key to his freedom through xenophages, he will annihilate the existence of both symbiotes and humans. General Rex asks the green one how they can stop this. On this, the green one symbiote says, as long as the symbiote and the host are alive, the Codex will also be alive. And if one of them dies, then the Codex will also die. While continuously saving himself, Eddie comes across Martin's family who gives him food to eat. Martin tells him that they are heading to Area 51 to spot an alien. Martin and his wife suggest that they can ride him out to Las Vegas. Eddie appreciates it and joins them. After the arduous journey, Eddie arrives in Vegas. Kind-hearted Martin helps Eddie with some money and a pair of slippers. Thereafter, he sets out for Area 51. Eddie tries to enter a posh casino, but is turned out by the guard because of being in ordinary clothing. So he approaches another guard and knocks him out with a single slap. He puts on his attire and again enters the casino. There, he bumps into Mrs. Chen, who gets thrilled on seeing him. One of the soldiers informs General Rex about Eddie's location at the Paris Hotel in Vegas. In her room, Mrs. Chen asks Eddie to dance with her. Eddie does not want to dance, but Venom can't control himself, as he is very fond of dancing. So he turns into Venom completely, but this triggers a signal that reaches the distant Xenophage. Without any fear of the imminent danger, Venom keeps on dancing with Mrs. Chen, but it doesn't last long, as the xenophage monster jumps into the room, breaking the glass, but by then, Venom again becomes normal, causing the alien not to detect Codex. Eddie asks Mrs. Chen to remain calm and collected. After finding nothing there, the monster pulls away from there. After the departure of the xenophage, a team of special soldiers shows up there and captures Venom's symbiote, and they take Eddie with them too. In the next scene, Martin and his family have also arrived at the outskirts of Area 51. And later, all of them sneak into it. Inside Area 51, Eddie regains his consciousness and calls in Venom. He gets up and discovers Detective Mulligan is still alive, but in a captured state. Transforming into a green symbiote, Mulligan tells Eddie that they must protect the Codex from Knull. A symbiote army is also awaiting here in Area 51, but we have to free them first. General Rex arrives there with a bunch of soldiers and shoots Eddie, as he considers Eddie to be at the bottom of all this. But on the dot, Venom manages to break free and takes control over Eddie, but this catches Xenophage's attention towards him. The monster alien arrives there and starts approaching Venom to kill him. Just then, the green symbiote lunges upon the Xenophage and asks Venom to get away from there. The monster devours the green symbiote in no time. On the request of Venom, Sadie frees all the captured symbiotes. Soldiers also fire at the creature, sacrificing their lives. One by one, all the symbiotes fall on the Xenophage, and to some extent, the symbiote army succeeds in containing the fatal monster. But in this encounter, some of the symbiotes get devoured by the Xenophage. Sadie is also taken over by a green symbiote. She asks Eddie to make off with the Codex and herself lays into the symbiote hunter. Outside, Martin is disappointed after finding no alien there in Area 51. That's when a Xenophage monster shows up right before them. Eddie dashes off from there to save Codex, but finds Martin and his family above. He reaches them, using his arms. The symbiote army and the human army bend over backwards to hunt down the monster. General Rex attacks the monster with a rocket launcher, causing other symbiotes to get killed in this explosion. Martin's children also fall off the pole, but Eddie saves them before it is too late. The female symbiote tells Rex that he was trying to save you. We are not your enemy. Finding itself losing in the battlefield, a xenophage calls in other xenophages for help. Now, the symbiote army is outnumbered. The symbiote hunters begin to kill symbiotes by eating them alive. Venom rides a bike while the xenophage aliens chase him. He leads them to a stack of ammunition where they are blown up in an explosion. Out of the two monsters, one survives and attacks the chopper. Venom, with the help of another symbiote, chops off the head of a xenophage, killing it. Another monster strikes Eddie down and goes to eat him alive, but then Martin arrives and blasts off the alien monster, saving Eddie. General Rex is severely injured in this battle against the xenophages. Right then, many wormholes are created by Knull, unleashing his army of xenophages into this world. Eddie is also wounded and discovers a plethora of xenophages out there. The monster aliens killed all the symbiotes and only Venom is left alive, hiding in a damaged chopper. Venom comes into his real form, attracting all the xenophages towards himself. All the lurking xenophages come at Venom and begin to tear him apart. Venom crawls up to a tank filled with acid. In his last moments, Venom tells Eddie that he will never forget him. Meanwhile, General Rex turns on the acid rain on Venom, laden with xenophages. He was asked by Venom himself to do so, as it is the only way to get rid of xenophages. Venom dies painfully while looking at Eddie. General Rex also unpins a grenade, causing a massive explosion in Area 51. This way, he also sacrifices himself. Eddie is lying unconscious on the ground as there is no Venom anymore around him. In the next scene, Eddie wakes up in a hospital and is informed by an officer that his entire criminal record has been expunged because of his heroic actions with the assistance of Venom at Area 51. Now, Eddie is in New York and looks back on the moments he spent with Venom while looking at the Statue of Liberty. In a mid-credits scene, we see Knull saying, "No one can save the universe from me now, and I will destroy your world." And with this scene, this movie runs out.